All right, today we're going to break down a really important shift that's happening in schools all over the country. It's a change in how we talk, sure, but it's really a change in how we think. It's all about how we see and support the students in our classrooms who are learning English. Okay, let's get right into it.
So, to really get a handle on this, let's talk numbers. We're talking about 5.3 million students in the US who are identified as English language learners. That's a huge number. It's about 11% of all public school students. So, this is not some small, isolated issue. It's central to what's happening in our schools. And this quote from Dr. Kishimoto just nails it. It used to be that people thought this was just a big city thing, but that's completely changed. Now you'll find multilingual students in classrooms everywhere, from the biggest cities to the smallest rural towns. This conversation, it's for everybody.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by getting the lay of the land, then we'll dive deep into that huge mindset shift. After that, we'll talk about getting families involved, jump into some real practical things you can do in the classroom, and then wrap it all up by talking about what this is really about, seeing the incredible promise in every student.
Okay, this is where we get to the heart of the matter. Perspective. The biggest breakthroughs don't come from some fancy new program. They start right here, with how we choose to see our students. It's a shift that changes the words we use, the way we teach, and, most importantly, what our students believe they can achieve. Now take a look at this, because this comparison is everything. For a long time, the term was English language learner, or ELL. And if you think about it, that label focuses entirely on what a student doesn't have yet, English. But when we shift to multilingual learner, or MLL, boom, the whole frame changes. Suddenly we're acknowledging that these students walk into our classrooms with a huge asset, another language. We're celebrating the fact they're on their way to becoming bilingual. This isn't just about being politically correct, it's about starting from a place of strength.
And once you have that asset mindset, it unlocks this powerful concept called translanguaging. It's a fancy word for a pretty simple and beautiful idea. Let kids use all the languages they know to learn. Their home language isn't something to be pushed aside. It's a tool, a cognitive bridge that helps them build understanding and connect new ideas.
And here's what that actually sounds like in a real classroom. A student might mix Spanish and English like this to get their full thought out. When we encourage this, we're sending a powerful message. All of you is welcome here. All of your knowledge matters. It lets them participate fully right away instead of waiting until their English is perfect.
But this great work can't just live inside the four walls of a classroom. For it to really stick, it has to move outward. We have to build this welcoming ecosystem that wraps around our students and, just as importantly, their families. It's about building a real, genuine partnership. And schools are doing some really amazing things here. Look at Aldine, Texas. They have parent leadership academies training parents to be advocates for their kids. Or Denver with their community hubs that offer all kinds of resources. And Prince William County, Virginia, put a parent liaison in every single school. See the pattern? These aren't just bake sales. These are deep, systemic efforts to build trust and show families they are essential partners in their child's education. Okay, so we've got the mindset, we've brought the community in. Now let's get super practical. What does this look like for a teacher on a Tuesday morning? Let's talk about 3 concrete strategies that bring this whole asset-based approach to life. First up, the power of a good book. We need to think of the books in our classroom as mirrors and windows. Mirrors are books where students can see their own lives, their own cultures reflected back at them. And windows are books that open up a view into someone else's world. We need both. But we have to be really intentional about this. We have to ask, can my students see themselves here? And here's the reality check. A 2018 study found that only 5% of children's books featured Latinx characters. Compare that to 50% that depicted white characters. That gap is massive. It shows why this isn't a nice to have. It's an absolute must-do. We have to actively build libraries where every child feels seen. Strategy number 2 is all about creating a sense of calm and safety. Think about it. If you're trying to learn a new language and navigate a new school, the classroom can feel pretty overwhelming. Predictable routines are the antidote. They lower that anxiety and free up a student's brain power to focus on learning, not on figuring out what's happening next. And this doesn't have to be complicated at all. We're talking about starting class the same way every day, using the same simple phrases and hand signals for things like turn and talk, putting up charts with words and pictures that kids can use without having to ask for help. This predictability builds a foundation of confidence, and that is a total game changer. And our third strategy is simple. Let them talk. This might sound obvious, but get this. Some research has shown that in a typical classroom, multilingual learners might only spend about 2% of their day actually speaking. 2%! We have to do better. We have to build in structured time for them to use their voices. And this is where learning from peers is just golden. Simple routines like think, pair, share give students a low-stakes way to practice. We can give them sentence starters like I notice or I wonder to help them get started. And this is so important. We can let students who speak the same home language talk about the ideas together first. It helps them build their understanding and their confidence before they share out to the whole group. So we've talked about the mindset shift, family engagement, and classroom strategies. But all of these things are just tools. They only work if they're fueled by one single powerful belief, that we see the immense, incredible potential in every single one of our students. And this quote from Dr. Lamari Cologne, wow, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? When a student walks in, what's our first instinct? Do we see them through a lens of pity, thinking, pobrecito, poor kid, look at all the challenges? Or do we look at them and see the promise of a future bilingual doctor or artist or leader? The way we answer that question changes absolutely everything. So this shift from English learner to multilingual learner is so much more than just words. It's a choice about what we see, a problem to be fixed or a strength to be built upon. We've talked about the how, but the real work always starts with why. So I'll leave you with this personal question. How will you choose to see the promise?